So to start off, I was wondering if we could just learn a little bit more about your background and your journey into how you got to where you are today.
Okay, let's start with where I am today and then go to the beginning. So I am currently 76, soon to be 77, and I'm in the super senior phase of my life, and I feel that that's a great opportunity, and I have high energy for it and have goals and everything. So I don't think retirement, I think how to be best at that age. But I'm also continuing to be a venture capitalist, which I started in my late 20s. And I've been doing that for 45 years. Today, I manage a portfolio of about 40 private companies, and I'm an investor in about 20 other funds. So I'm a mid-sized venture capital firm today. Second, another passion for me is philanthropy. I'm one of the top 100 donors in the country as an individual, and I'm one of the top 3 or 4 in higher ed, which is my primary specialty, and I'm trying to be among the most engaged donors, not just write checks, but to help and advise, engage, and share, and that sort of thing. And I concentrate in higher ed and infusing technology into performing arts, including at higher ed. And third, for the kind of the retirement or learning part, I love to travel and have been to many of the countries in the world. I did that also through the Air Force, but Nancy and I are in the midst of doing about 7 or 8 more countries this year. We got interrupted with COVID. Our last country we're in is your home country, Puerto Rico. We were there primarily for golf, but I was completely amazed at how they'd recovered from devastating hurricanes and other things, and we're bouncing back nicely. So that's kind of a context of where I'm at. How I got there is I have a background like many of you. I grew up in suburban New Jersey, middle-class family. My father was a co-op student at Georgia Tech. He was completely disappointed that I didn't choose co-op in Georgia Tech. I tried to convince him that going to the Air Force Academy was a co-op experience. I was training. He had none of that. So one of my reasons I'm into the co-op is to recognize my father's wishes about that. He served 5 years in the Pacific Theater and then entered an engineering career. A lot of that felt to me as very worthwhile. My mom was a teacher and a community activist and a leader of people, and I've got a lot of benefits from both of them that incorporated me. I'm a graduate of the Air Force Academy, went to Purdue supported by the US government. I got an MBA from Southern Illinois University. I'm heavily involved with all 3 of those schools, probably the largest donor at each at this point in time, and also similarly engaged as I am at Northeastern.
Okay, thank you for sharing. One question that was really popular that we all had is that your background originally is in aeronautical engineering, so what initially caused you to shift your interest as an investor and a philanthropist coming from that?
Well, I incorporate aeronautical engineering that I was a pilot in the United States Air Force. I had combat experience of either poorly or a time to be right at the height of the Vietnam War. So I had 500 missions North Vietnam, and that was probably the greatest testing period of my life. There's nothing like getting shot out every day by missiles and things. So anything else in life is simpler compared to that. And then, as I thought I was wanted to be in the Air Force as a career, I made two decisions to leave. One is I had trained to be, hopefully, to be an astronaut. Now, 50 years ago, astronautics was in its infancy, and but it turned out that I was too tall. At 6'2", I was too tall. And the second is, although I did my darndest in the Vietnam War, that was really a worthless war. There was no winners in that. Certainly wasn't worth losing 50,000 American lives for. And the political spectrum seemed to me that was going to continue. That's one of the few things I predicted right. In my view, we haven't been in a war worth losing lives and disrupting families and all the extraordinary costs that went into that. So my form of protest was to leave the Air Force. At the same time, I've continued to support the Air Force Academy. So that's a long way around. What got me into thinking about being in venture capital and particularly software, which is my expertise, is astronautics at that time was all software. And it was actually part of the beginning of software experience in the development of supercomputers and things like that. So I thought that was an area I knew best, and I liked the idea that 2 or 3 or 4 people could change a whole industry with some good product choices and programming, and you could sell to maybe 100 customers at that time. So
okay,
that's how we got going. Somehow we got that transition.
So regarding with the venture capital, has there been a more defining moment in your venture capital career that has defined how your investment philosophy and your long-term vision?
I have had a number of companies that have changed the industry that they've been in. One is a company called Achieve 3000, which is one of the pioneers in AI. And what they did is deliver content in the elementary level leveled to your personal ability. So if you're in the classroom, and some of you may gone to school with Achieve 3000, it gave the sense of you could personalize the software, and so everybody could have the same general lesson, but the vocabulary and the questions and demands would be at your level. And that's still a philosophy to me of how you can build something that is then individual and helps that person go.
Okay, and with that in mind, are there any common traits among the most successful leaders that you have backed?
First of all, they're visionary. They're ahead of the times. They can anticipate the future, and it doesn't have to be long-term, but at least 3 or 4 or 5 years out. Second, the leader has that vision and focuses on it at the same time, listens to others or the customer, their perspective, and invariably has to pivot. It changes, and they make those changes. And third, they have to be an inspiring leader that can influence employees to stick with it and achieve. And similarly, perhaps even more important, be inspiring to customers, because often the customer is taking a huge risk in a new product. In some cases, they're betting their job on your career on how well that's got to happen. So I'm looking for that in an individual. Will they be that compelling, talking about a product it isn't fully operative yet?
Okay, thank you. And changing the shift to more on the philanthropy side. So given your work in financial services, what was your motivation to begin investing in philanthropy and specifically in higher education for the next generation?
Yeah, I recognized about 10 years into it, I was going to have success more than I could use. I live a kind of an upper middle class lifestyle. I don't need yachts or airplanes or even first class travel. You'll hear Nancy complain about, but she goes first class, I go coach, and it works.
Steerage.
And who has the economy-sized seat and who has the first-class seat? But we're just the opposite, and that's how the world operates, right? Where were we?
We were talking about why you chose to invest in philanthropy specifically for higher education.
I recognized that I had the capacity financially to give back. Did I have the time and things? And I recognized I needed to organize myself to be able to do it. So one of the things I want to be is among the most effective donors, not just from my perspective, but from the perspective of the institution receiving it, that it's worthwhile to spend time with me, that I'm giving back as much as in advice and networking and contacts as I am in funds type. And I also recognize the skills I had in venture capital of advising entrepreneurs could be applicable there. And I could learn, I'm really a big believer in lifelong learning. I could learn that industry by talking to the innovators and high achievers and some of the people who didn't do so well and catch up, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. And have you seen a direct impact from your philanthropic examples, like any examples that you can think of with that?
Sure. I started out in philanthropy with trying to solve a problem that I noticed in my home area of New Jersey, which was in middle school and high school, kids were not choosing STEM careers or even STEM courses. This is back 35, 40 years ago, and it was, viewed that STEM was too hard. The teachers graded too hard. It was a lot easier to enter social studies or other fields, which are very worthwhile. But we, in hiring for the companies I had, we were hiring from students outside the U.S. And that was okay when they came to the U.S. and stayed here. Now they come here and study and appropriately go back home. And we have this massive shortage of STEM talent. So I thought the way to solve that was to try to upgrade the instruction, upgrade the curriculum, upgrade the teacher development, and that would impact plenty of students. So the success I had was developing those kind of programs at many universities, mostly in New Jersey. And I'm really proud as a venture capitalist, we're trying to start something that's sustaining and grows, that many of those programs that I did 20 or 30 years ago are still in place. And many of the middle school teachers go through them, both during the school year and in the summer. They come to campus at places like College of New Jersey or Rider or Rutgers or elsewhere. And so changed that around a whole lot. And that led me, after 30 years of probably funding 100 programs dedicated to STEM, to switch to honors and a couple of others.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And how do you think student-driven initiatives can complement philanthropy?
I think it's very important. One of the things, I have a broad definition of philanthropy. One thing is you can give dollars. It's even more important to give your time and energy and ideas. So when I started philanthropy, I couldn't write big checks, but I would find the time. And I urge you to think of it that way, of if you devote yourself to a cause you're passionate about, learn how to contribute to that and say, maybe in the future I want to give my money, or maybe I learn I don't want in that area and I pick something else.
Thank you. And in your opinion, how do you think universities can engage better with the philanthropists in order to maximize their impact?
I'm going to give a mundane answer. It's better reporting and discussion back and forth. It's pretty shocking that most donors don't get a lot of feedback, and it causes them not to feel very engaged. My real reason for giving reporting, and I don't think I've said this to Becca and Gurley, is to help you have the basis to tell your higher ups what you're doing and accomplishment and get more visibility. It also is something that you can give or talk with other donors that will encourage them to come on board. I mean, I can learn about it in Q&A as we did at lunch today, but you need it in steady reporting and progress. But most of all, it tells you how you're doing. So I don't look for long reports. 2 or 3 pages are just fine. But you have to measure yourself and say how you're doing, and then that helps you decide to keep getting better.
Thank you. What about Northeastern prompted you to get involved with the honors program?
You had an established program that had a desire to get better and change. And so I was eager to participate in that. Second, I wanted to learn how you can do honors and co-op at the same time, which is pretty difficult. You know, and that attracted me of how well that was done.
Is there a specific?
And then third is the caliber of student here.
Is there a specific future that you see for honor students at Northeastern?
I think you have as bright a future as any student on your campus, and practically any student in the country. You have a well thought out mission and a balanced approach, and one that's constantly thinking about how do I improve, how do I add to it, and I'm eager to participate in that.
If you could implement one initiative at Northeastern, what would it be and why?
I think it would be several. One is greater, you have a good visibility within your group. There isn't enough visibility of honors within the overall university. I'm glad to see people here branded at the same time a little bit. I'm trying to be branded, but that's important to raise the recognition. That would be one. Second, like most honors programs and most young graduates, the alumni get detached from it. Your best mentors are what's here for this conference, the global leaders who are graduates 5, 10, or 20 years. They can remember what you're doing. They're engaged with what you want to accomplish. Latch on to some of them, and I think that's also, if we could, I'm nudging Becca and Gurley to say, how do we get our alumni more involved with you?
Okay, thank you. So regarding leadership, beyond business.
I have a third one, which
Okay,
is
sorry.
most of us, relate to our major where we are. I'm trying to encourage relate to major and honors, sometimes together, sometimes separately. But think of yourself as, I'm an alum of this engineering program, I'm an alum of honors, together and somewhat equal, and be very proud and visible of that.
Okay, thank you. So regarding leadership, are there any personal values or experience that have influenced your approach to leadership and decision making throughout your career?
You know, I had a lot of time in competitive sports, and so I do think in sports, the training, the coaching, the striving to be better is an important part of leadership, and understanding how others do that in different ways, but somehow you have to build a consensus, and that shouldn't end. I mean, here I am, I've been playing golf for 68 years, and I still think I'm going to get better. I still think I can beat people of all ages. At the same time, I'm realistic in saying I need to be the very best as a super senior, but it continues to set that, that goal. I'm taking lessons twice a week through the year. I'm hitting balls nearly every day, and it's all going to end. But that self-development is really important throughout your stages of your career.
And how would you say you define your personal success as a leader?
Your personal success is personal. What goals did you set for yourself? And they need to be a little bit of a stretch, but you keep going at it. It's both career, it's both financial, but it's also family-oriented. It's community service, and so I think you need to keep in mind. I think it keeps you energetic and enthusiasm, and I look at it every day. How did I contribute to those goals?
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And also, everyone in this room is a student leader to some extent within the honors program, so we were wondering if there's any advice you had for us as student leaders in our roles.
First of all, I think that is another addition to continue to advance at Northeastern is leadership. And it's important as super high achievers, and what we hope you all hope you'll accomplish is learn how to influence others. That's part of leadership. Learn how to be impactful to large segments of whatever your career field is. So I do encourage you to take some courses in management and in leadership, from the top business professors or organization development, and try to participate in programs that are growing fast so you get the feel of how that's kind of managed. It doesn't mean you're all going to run large organizations, but it's more of how do I impact and influence people. Because part of doing good work is also sharing it and having it utilized, or at least compete for that. And you get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing that accomplished. It's saying all that I put into it benefited a lot of other people, and so communicating that's important. So come back to your projects of I think community service is vital through, and we all do that in our own way, but I'll take it a step up and say, can I start something within an existing organization, and then can I start the next new organization as well?